Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shahli sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma 'allimna ma yanfa'una wa anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa zidna 'ilma. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil 'aliyyil 'azim. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Inshallah, today we'll be continuing from this 10th word. We've been probably providing a recap every week. So I'm sure all of you are aware that the topic that we're studying is that of resurrection and the hereafter. And this 10th word started with a little story, right, of two people who are looking at a certain place or certain realm with two very different worldviews. And these 11 aspects, not 11 aspects, but so far, the 10 aspects that we've looked at, each aspect has been a way to witness the necessity of resurrection and the hereafter. And hopefully they are ways for us to witness the necessity of resurrection and the hereafter as we examine existence, as we examine the world around us, the creation around us. They're here for us to reflect upon our own existence and upon what we see happening around us every single day. And so, I mean, the topic here is I think a central question that all of us share by virtue of being human, right? Is there going to be another form of existence? Is my existence going to end completely when I die? This is, that's the crux of the matter. That's what everyone wonders and asks and wants to and ardently desires to know for sure. And so inshallah, our aim here is to study the text, but also frame the text with our own questions and see how we can engage in a dialogue with it so that it satisfies the questions that we have and satisfies the doubts or the inquiries that we might have as we trace the line of reasoning that this text is going to offer, inshallah. So we can begin by reading this. It's only just really 2 paragraphs, almost 3 paragraphs. We'll begin by reading this in its entirety, I think, and then we'll go maybe sentence by sentence or just look at it in more detail. If we have a volunteer who wants to read, that would be great. If not, I can read as well. That's fine. So if you want to read, just raise your hand.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Taya Simmons, you want to read?
Sure. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Okay, starting from the 11th aspect, right?
Yes.
All right, dope. Come, O obstinate friend, let us embark on a plane or a train traveling east or west, that is to the past or the future. Let us see what miraculous works that being has accomplished in other places. Look, there are marvels on every hand, like the dwellings, open spaces, and exhibitions we see, but they all differ with respect to art and to form. Note well, however, what order betokening manifest wisdom, what indications of evident compassion, what signs of lofty justice, and what fruits of comprehensive mercy are to be seen in these transient dwellings, these impermanent open spaces, these fleeting exhibitions. Anyone not totally devoid of insight will understand a certainty that no wisdom can be imagined more perfect than his, no providence more beauteous than his, no compassion more comprehensive than his, and no justice more glorious than his. Uh-oh, I'm too far. Where am I? Okay, sorry. Thank you. All right. I'm reading it off of my phone. If for the sake of argument, as you imagine, no permanent abodes, lofty places, fixed stations, lasting residences, or resident and contented population existed in the sphere of his kingdom, and if the truth of his wisdom, compassion, mercy, and justice had no realm in which to manifest themselves fully for this impermanent kingdom, for this impermanent kingdom is no place for their full manifestation, then we would be obliged to deny the wisdom we see, to deny the compassion we observe, to deny the mercy that is in front of our eyes, and to deny the justice, the signs of which are evident. This would be as idiotic as denying the sun, the light of which we clearly see at midday. We would also have to regard the one from whom proceed all these wise measures we see, all these generous acts, all these merciful gifts, as a vile gambler or treacherous tyrant. God forbid. This would be to turn on its head, and turning a truth into its opposite is impossible, according to the unanimous testimony of all rational beings, excepting only the idiot sophists who deny everything. There is then a realm apart from the present one. In it, there's a supreme tribunal, a lofty place of justice, an exalted place of reward, where all this compassion, wisdom, mercy, and justice will be made fully manifest.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, Taya, for that beautiful reading. It was really lovely. All right, so let's look at this 11th aspect a little bit more closely, a little bit more carefully and slowly. So it says, "Come," and I will share the thoughts that come upon me, but feel free to raise your hand, make a comment, and let this be a group exercise together, inshallah. So it says, "Come, O obstinate friend." And, obviously within the story here, there are two people. One of them is seeing things for the truth, the reality that they are, and the other one's obstinate. But another way I can simply, read this for myself is that I have an obstinate side to myself. The side of myself who does not want to, who wants to deny truth, who refuses to see things for the reality that they represent. So really, this is to addressing my own obstinate tendencies, if you will. It says, "Let us embark on a plane or a train traveling east or west, that is, the past or the future." And so, what I take from this is that let's look at the past and future in terms of our memory, right? Like this world that we live in, looking at how everything so far as we know it, as you remember, in terms of the past that we've witnessed so far, and the future that we hope for accordingly. I, for example, just a very basic example, see the 4 seasons, right? Every single year of my life, perhaps, according to where I live. And I can recall that. And I also hope for it or expect it in the future as well. It says, "Let us see what miraculous works that being has accomplished in other places." And in the other aspects, it's talked about some of those miraculous works. It says, "Look, there are marvels on every hand, like the dwellings, open spaces, and exhibitions we see. But they all differ with respect to art and form." And, for example, again, I'll just speak of what I see right now. Slowly, the trees that I've been looking at for the past couple months that have been very bare and naked in their branches, slowly, I see little buds that are coming very slowly. I see a sort of change that's happening. But this change as well that I see not just in trees, but in my entirety of my environment, It's not identical, right? The world as I experience it, it's not like a copy machine that's just printing off identical copies. There is constantly things happening, but all of them, as it says, differ with respect to the way that they're happening, or the shape, the form, the beauty that they're exhibiting. I may say all of them are beautiful, but they're all beautiful in their very own individual way. There is this sort of endless diversity. Even, right before me, I see some plants. Their leaves are all very different. And so they all differ with respect to the art, the form, the shape that they take. And so here, these sentences so far are really just an invitation, I think, for us to look, for us to witness what is going on. Note well, however, what order betokening manifest wisdom, what indications of evident compassion, what signs of lofty justice, and what fruits of comprehensive mercy manifest wisdom, evident compassion, signs of lofty wisdom, and what fruits of comprehensive mercy are to be seen in these transient dwellings, these impermanent open spaces, these fleeting exhibitions. So now in this text, my initial step was to look around myself. For example, again, if I'm looking at the plant in front of me, I was looking at the art, the shape, the form that it takes, how it differs in comparison to the other plant that's next to it. But now I'm also looking at qualities that it manifests, that it reflects, right? There is definitely, I can see wisdom in how it's growing, in the shape that it's growing. And if I studied it more, I could probably see even more, the degree to which I study it. And I see all of these other qualities as well of compassion, of mercy, of beauty around the things that I'm located with, the creation that's taking place. These qualities are manifested through the things as they transform, as they change, and all of which is taking place in a very, I know that it's going to change once more. It's all in a very transient sense. This world as I know it is very impermanent by virtue of its constant change and whatnot. And here I also like the word a lot, comprehensive mercy, right? I see that the needs of everything are being met. So I can look at the bees, the ants. These are small examples, right? But a variety of things, like everything, the need that it has, whatever need it has, it is being met in some way. There is a comprehensive, immersive exhibition of mercy that is taking place. And yet, all of these qualities that this text is inviting me to realize, to take note of, to reflect upon, are also taking place again within an impermanent, within a transient, within a changing space. And it says, anyone not totally devoid of insight will understand a certainty that no wisdom can be imagined more perfect than his, no providence more beauteous than his, no compassion more comprehensive than his, and no justice more glorious than his. So here it says, anyone not totally devoid of insight, which I take to mean that, anyone, any human being who has this given consciousness, right? Anyone who hasn't set certain limits within their frame of thinking, who hasn't set up certain biases within themselves, anyone that's coming with an open mind can see with absolute certainty these qualities. and can see these qualities not just as, oh, there's a little bit of wisdom or a little bit of beauty here. I see these qualities in an absolute sense, if you will. I see that their source must be absolute. I see that the knowledge that is required in order for things in the world to occur as they do must be absolute. The mercy that I see, that comprehensive mercy, it necessitates an absolute source. It shows me, it indicates me towards, it signposts me towards an absolute mercy. And so, I mean, here it says, no wisdom can be imagined more perfect, no providence more beauteous, no justice more glorious. And I think that's just really a way of, compassion more comprehensive, of saying, of underlining, emphasizing the absoluteness of such qualities. And so this first paragraph here has so far really just been a process of witnessing. Right? It says, come, take a look. And each of us, can do this for ourselves wherever we're located. And ask, and I can ask myself, is this really true? Is it that I'm seeing things in this world in very different shapes and forms, and that they're displaying all these qualities, and they're displaying these qualities in not just to this degree or to that degree, but to the extent to which I conclude an absolute source of existence. And I'll continue. It says, and because I think that first paragraph, just kind of laying the foundation for what I witness, is really important for what this second paragraph is going to reason us through. It says, if, and you can interrupt me if anything doesn't make sense or whatnot. Actually, I would prefer if you didn't highlight it. It just makes it a little difficult for me. Thank you. If for the sake of argument, as you imagine, no permanent abodes, lofty places, fixed stations, lasting residences, or resident and contented populations existed in the sphere of this kingdom. So there was no permanent place. There was no eternal form of existence where eternal happiness, contentment, right, exists, where transience doesn't take place. If this wasn't the case, if death as I know it is complete annihilation, and if the truths of his wisdom, compassion, mercy, and justice, so some of the qualities that we just talked about, that I see pointing to an absolute source of absolute wisdom, absolute compassion, absolute mercy, if the truth of these qualities had no realm in which to manifest themselves fully, for absolute qualities can be displayed in an absolute sense, right? If they didn't have a form of existence to manifest themselves fully for this impermanent kingdom, this world as I know it, is no place for their full manifestation. I get a little samples of these qualities, right? But things that are by virtue of the nature of this world, which is transient and changing and temporary, I cannot experience qualities in manifested in their full form. So if there was no such realm for these qualities to manifest themselves fully, then we would be obliged to deny the wisdom we see, to deny the compassion we observe, to deny the mercy that is in front of our eyes, and to deny the justice, the signs of which are evident. So I guess this is setting up some questions, right? And one of the arguments here that the author is basically alluding to is that a permanent realm is necessary for the qualities of an absolute source of existence to be manifested fully, right? a one whose mercy is absolute, a one whose wisdom is absolute. If they're to be only limited to this temporary world, temporary form of existence, not showing them or displaying them in their absolute sense, which the first paragraph was talking about, then this goes against the very notion of an absolute one. And one of the claims here is that a temporary display of absolute mercy, absolute justice is not fitting. And I guess the question that we as readers can ask is this so? Is it such that a temporary display of qualities that are absolute is not fitting? Is this something that really contradicts itself? I think these are things that we have to ask. And he says that this would be as silly, as idiotic as denying the sun, the light of which we clearly see at midday. And I guess I have to think about this in conjunction with myself, right? So there are my needs, right? My needs include wanting eternal youthfulness, eternal beauty, eternal strength, eternal happiness, contentment, right? Any happiness that we're able to sort of grasp at, it always kind of slips away from our fingers because there's always changing situations, and then death. So there are my needs in one corner, if you will. And then there are the qualities that I experience, that I see displayed in this world. And I guess I need a sort of conclusion that reconciles both what I witness and what I experience in this world with what I find within myself as needing. And a conclusion that denies another form of existence, that thinks that this existence as I know it is it, after death, there's nothing else, there's no other form of existence, goes against what I see and confirm through these two sources. Because the first source, right, my needs, well, my needs are very apparent. I want eternal happiness. I don't want just happiness that ends at death, right? I want the relationships that I have with my loved ones to be eternal as well. If they die, I don't want that to be the end of their existence. The relationship that I have with them, the happiness that I experience, I don't want that. So insofar as my needs are there, it's very apparent what I need. And then the qualities here that this text has been stressing, that I see in this world, that I witness in this world, are clearly qualities that point to an absolute source. That the mercy that I experience, that the justice through creation that I can witness and look at and observe, the compassion, that comprehensive mercy and compassion that I see, all of these point to a source that can manifest these qualities to an absolute, endless degree. And so both of these, I'm going to call them sources, if you will, point to the necessity of another form of existence that meets my needs and also displays those qualities in their full sense, in their absolute sense. And denying another form of existence goes against or contradicts both of these, what I see, what I experience, feel, and confirm what I witness through these two sources. And I'll continue reading a little bit. I have a little bit more to say, and I know I've been talking quite a bit, so you can always, let me know if anything makes sense, or it doesn't make sense. I should know if it does make sense as well. So it says, we would also have to regard the one from whom proceed all these wise measures. I think this is really important. From whom proceed all these wise measures we see, all these generous acts, all these merciful gifts, as a vile gambler or treacherous tyrant, God forbid. So, okay, here I am faced with myself, right? I'm existing, I'm living, however you want to understand that, right? And in my life, I'm experiencing, for example, youth. And I see that youth, and I really enjoy it, because with youth comes a lot of other things, maybe like a stronger memory, more physical strength, the ability to do things that I want, beauty, right? All these qualities that I like, that I want to hold on to. And, I didn't necessarily go through a process of saying, well, when I was born, I didn't say, oh, my creator, give me youth. It just happens. It's given without me asking. And then I taste it without having asked for it either. And then afterwards, slowly, right? Perhaps it starts from your mid-20s, and then late 20s, and then 30s, and then 40s, 50s, 60s, however, life is given. I experience these qualities of youthfulness, and I'm just giving it as one example, being taken away. Maybe my back starts to hurt. I start to see maybe grays in my hair or my beard or whatever, what have you. I start to see lines on my face, and nobody wants that, right? Especially in this day and age, because that points to the sort of inevitability of what is waiting for me, which is death, which is, and if I associate with death with annihilation, non-existence, and I definitely don't want that. And so the question here, I guess, why I'm mentioning all of this is, why is my source of existence, why is my creator, whom I conclude must be the owner, source of absolute mercy, because I see it in the creation, I see it in the world. This is where witnessing the world as it is super important. Why is my source of existence, absolute source of existence, with these absolute qualities of mercy and compassion, taking away the youth I have tasted by virtue of old age or otherwise? If he doesn't give me that eternal youth, eternal happiness, and just lets me kind of taste it a little bit, and then, snatches it away from my hand as if giving, I don't know, chocolate to a little child, letting them like taste a little crumble of it and then taking it away, then this goes against all the qualities I've experienced thus far of his through this world. Because everything that I've needed so far without even asking has been given. I've been given the ability to see things, to enjoy things, breath, to breathe, all these bodily functions, all these mental capacities, all these things that I didn't ask for, but their needs are being constantly met. All of those are being given. And this one thing that I am consciously asking for, because I find the need given in me by him as well, if he doesn't give that, then it not only contradicts everything I've experienced within myself, but also contradicts the manifest qualities that I've experienced in this world thus far. It goes against all of it. And that contradiction doesn't make sense, that turns, as the text says, him into a sort of vile gambler, or like just someone who's teasing me, or a sort of tyrant, like, here you go, experience life, experience happiness, and then I'm going to murder you. That doesn't make sense, because it doesn't align, it doesn't follow up with, it doesn't connect with every other experience and witnessing that I've done so far. And again, this is where the first paragraph, I think, is really important, because I first have to conclude upon the qualities and their absolute nature to go through this line of reasoning. Anyways, I've talked quite a lot. I see that we have a hand up, so Brother Ali, please go ahead.
No, thank you very much. It was beautiful. Thank you. My question is, here in this context, I asked myself, How do I know that it is absolutely merciful since I experienced lots of terrible, horrible things? But the text we have to be careful is teaching us or telling that when these questions always asked by this kind of questions, criticisms directed to the believers in God and saying God is love, God is mercy. So this kind of people have some sort of genuine concern. I don't blame them because when I say I believe in God, He is merciful, and you really emphasized not enough the importance of the Creator is absolute. Then His mercy is absolute, but in practical terms, it doesn't seem to be. As far as I am concerned, I am going through very troublesome life, lots of problems. I have to struggle a lot, and I cannot really fulfill whatever I want in this world. And the universe creation doesn't give me enough space to say, okay, I am convinced absolutely that you are really a merciful one in every aspect. But in order to answer this kind of questions, not to the people, it comes to our mind. It came to my mind. We have to make the distinction between a very, very important points. 2 points. One is looking at the creation and seeing the quality of the one who creates it. Even somebody doesn't believe in the creator, it is okay in order to start the reasoning together. Whatever the source of existence of this universe, whatever it is, I don't say God, and I don't condition myself. You shouldn't condition myself as well. I'm speaking to my own ego because it's a very quarrelsome ego I have. Always I say something, it opposes with an alternative idea. I think human beings are created in these conditions, and everybody is sharing these feelings. But we have to be aware of it. We have to think about ourselves. So I should look at the way the things are existing. They are given existence. Whatever the cause of existence can be, may be, regardless. The things are coming into existence, including the ones that we don't like. For example, I know the presenter's chaplain is having a very hard time for his cancer. And he is even leaving the job. I think the presenter here, the must be sorry for this nice guy. He's my colleague, so I really liked him, and he was very active, very nice, and the way he treated the students, etc. I really admired him, appreciated him, and he has to leave the job now because he's undergoing a very severe conditions. I don't think it is easy for any person to bear this. And if you go and ask him, of course, he's a conscious man. He will say yes, but most of the people say the one who created me with cancer and suffering from it and the pains, etc., and giving me the alarm that I'm going to leave this world soon, absolutely merciful. I would say, where is his mercy? Now, we have to be careful the way the things are coming into existence demonstrates that this source of existence must be infinite in his qualities, even the creation of cancer, even the creation of viruses. You cannot imagine how perfectly they are created, how perfectly they are functioning. There is no difference between my cells which repair my body, qualified, it is created in this way, and there is no difference in perfection in it is coming into existence. The cancer cell works to eat away my body, perfectly created. Although it goes against my expectations, that is something else. My expectations is something else. They are something else. I don't deny them, but I have to look at the case as I am, seeing that mercy, this compassion mentioned here, wisdom, justice, doesn't seem to be perfect from one side, but the things are coming into existence demonstrates that his qualities must be absolute. Oh, there is an obvious contradiction. The one who is the cause of existence, originator of existence of this world, must have my human mind consciousness understands that this one must be absolute in his qualities, infinite in his qualities. But at the same time, as the addressee of this universe, I'm observing the universe, I see that lots of troubles are going on in this world, but not from the creation point of view. That must be clearly distinguished. They are completely different matters. Now, the subject, 11th aspect, deals with contradiction. We call it in this class, in this room, beautiful contradiction. As a human being, I conclude on the one hand, the source of existence is perfect. On the other hand, but if he is the perfect one in his act of creation, but as far as my expectations are concerned, yes, the living cell and cancer cell are perfectly functioning in this world. But I like living cells. I don't like cancer cells. That is how I am given this sense. I am in trouble now. The author says, oh, that is beautiful. Either you would say that the source of existence of this universe is not absolutely merciful, but as really this author is very brave to use this language. He says, where is it? Where was it? Tyrant. Where was it? I see. This source of existence is not perfect in its qualities, but it's a vile gambler, just really gambling, playing here and there, or treacherous tyrant, not only normal tyrant, treacherous tyrant. Why? At the end of the day, he creates in perfect way and he gives an end to their creation. During this experience of life, I may like if I have a beautiful dinner, delicious, I say okay, but on the other day I have an unbearable headache. Oh, what a contradiction. Who are you? Are you really playing with me as the moderator gave the example, giving me the chocolate, and as a child, think about it as a child, that was the example given, and just tasting it and taking it away while I'm really dying for it to have. What are you doing? Now, I have to say either the creator of the universe is crazy, but universe says a crazy source cannot give existence to this universe. The way it is coming into existence, perfect, continuously changing, perfectly arranged, no mistake, no break, no hesitation, although continuously changes, but perfectly arranged, and the arrangement also perfectly changed. No mistake at all, no gap at all. Yeah. But at the same time, the end result is crazy. There must be some reason for it. I have to reason. This perfect creator, source of existence, whatever you call it, in the religious uh, language, it is called vocabulary, it's called God, the creator. This God, the creator, or for other person, whatever they call it, accident or something, whatever, definitely speaking to me in a very interesting way, saying, look, that's a sign. I will repeat the creation according to the capacity which fits me. That's why I have given you, all human beings, I have given you the expectation, hope, in your feeling that there should be no torture, no pain, no transience, fleeting nature, perfectly enjoyable. That is, I gave you in in your senses, so that you are always yearning for a perfect, comfortable life. That is my promise. Do you expect me to be crazy, which contradicts what I am doing? Of course not. Do you expect me to give you existence, to feed you, to grow you, and at the same time make you subject a torture? Which kind of contradiction is it that you can approve it? As the author says, you have to be a crazy sophist man. It means just confusing everything, really, not having a straight line of thinking. Of course, this is a promise from the Creator that, look, I will create another type of creation, which I can, because I demonstrated in this world in front of your eyes, I can, then that is a promise if you like, insinuated into your feelings, that you can understand this creator is just training me, educating me. He is the only creator. Human beings cannot create anything, or any part of this universe cannot give existence to anything. Only the absolute one can give, which is called God. He names himself God. So only the absolute one is God. So expect all of this from me. Don't say that accident, nature, whatever it is, a parts of this universe, the laws of nature, all these made up words, in fact, symbolizing something, but at the same time doesn't answer the source of existence. Chance, source of existence. Nature, source of existence. Nature needs to be existed, created. It is subject to the command and order and the uh, administering of something else. Nature cannot change itself. They say natural laws don't change. Yeah, of course, because they cannot change themselves. How can they be the source of existence of the universe? That is exceedingly important for us to notice. And this presentation, the brave presentation here, just demonstrating in a brave way the contradiction apparent in front of our eyes. Don't close, don't just say that the mercy is everywhere. Oh, I did the other things that you are really complaining about are minor things. So bear with them. If it's an absolute, merciful, wise one, why he should be always merciful, always wise? Because absolute, infinite. No, this kind of justifications do not work for our minds. But there is an important aspect here. Since we are given the expectation of the perfect uh, life, existence, since the source of existence demonstrated that he is able to create this, keep, fulfill the promise, and but at the same time I don't feel that one in this place, and then I should understand, conclude, now you are being trained in this world that the nature itself cannot be the source of its existence. You cannot give existence to anything. Behave yourself, know your limits, and acknowledge the reality. That is the summary of our life. I really like the presentation here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Ali, for always sharing your very valuable thoughts. I really benefited from them. I think they were very necessary. At this point, I see that we had a sort of question/comment in the chat box. Agabe, would you like to read it, or would you like me to read it? If you don't unmute yourself, I'll read it. So he says, if absolute qualities are not manifested here in the absolute sense, as the text also uses words such as signs of justice, how would we come to the conclusion that he is absolute? Another way of saying, unless we experience the next form of existence, can we really say that he is absolute, has absolute qualities? Or should we say that he must be absolute by using signs? And then when we experience in full, then we will say, yes, he is really absolute. And Abdurrahman says, I think it is the second way that you mentioned. Yeah, I think as well. I think that in this world, as we experience it, we see manifestations that point to, are indications towards the absoluteness of those qualities. I can conclude, as Brother Lee just kind of discussed it, the necessity of such an absolute source of existence through the createdness, through the process of creation of everything. Abdurrahman, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to make 2 points, 2 comments that I had. Firstly, I really appreciate the author, as Brother Ali also mentioned, for the language he uses. When he says, you know, vile gambler or treacherous tyrant, he says one that would give me all these, but then not, have a hereafter for me, or just allow me to go into non-existence. This is actually a point of view that I'm sure many people like share today. Like if you ask anyone about God, or a lot of people about God, they would think, oh, if a God does exist, then he's a tyrant, because of all the evil they see, in their eyes, because of all the lack of compassion they see in their eyes, that which they focus on, and they think, what kind of God would do this? And I think what Nursi is really touching here, which makes a lot of sense to me and which helps me, is that firstly, you need to understand that, well, firstly, just to address that point of evil, I think you need to also, just as Brother Ali was saying, you need to look from a point of creation and also a point of ownership. You also need to look in a very big picture view where yeah, sometimes you do see evil in things, but like from your point of view, you see evil, but you know, what helps me is like largely when I witness everything in this world, everything that I see in my life, it's mostly mercy and compassion, and I see that there's a sustainership being heavily manifested upon me, like in the world, in the order of the universe, you know, the sun, the stars, the planets, the leaves, the plants. There's a lot of order and compassion that's heavily I witness, and in some things maybe I do witness, like in my point of view, that it seems evil and I don't understand it, but it's a very minute detail, or it's like a very small part of the whole carpet. You could say that just the threads seem a little odd. So coming to the conclusion that it's also like evil and that therefore the whole everything is evil is just, I don't think it's the correct conclusion to be making. But I want to focus on the point that mercy is mercy when it's attached to a hereafter. You know, if if I just think that my life exists in this however many years I'm giving on this earth, and that I just live whatever pleasure I live on this earth and then I just die, then that mercy doesn't, because it's not mercy anymore for me. It's treachery or it's evil. It's some bully just abusing me. Uh, you know, if the things I love in this world are taken away from me, and I don't find them again, or I'm not given something else in its place, let's say in the hereafter, or I if I am not taken to an eternal abode after, like if this place is not like a training place, if it's not for me to you know, be trained by my creator, then it doesn't make sense to me. It loses meaning. Everything that makes sense stops making sense. Like the mercy that I see stops being mercy. So but so like it's very important, especially for me, like I just wanted to really emphasize this, that when I go through difficulties, I have to realize that there's a purpose behind these difficulties. Like I'm not just meant to live in this world and then die. Like I should not take ownership over this life that I've been giving on this earth and then get extremely angry when it's taken away from me. Like small parts of it are taken away from me. Firstly, I didn't own it in the beginning. Secondly, it's not, my purpose is not to live here forever. My purpose is not eternal paradise on earth. You know, the mercy truly becomes mercy when I see that it's meant as like a transient place to take me into an eternal abode. And you know, one, you know, this could be after death. Two, this could also be like in the now. You could taste, or you can somehow find your creator even now. There's some type of eternal abode that you can find now, just in coming to the conclusion that he must exist and that he is taking care of you and that he's sustaining you. I think there's a you can find that eternal mercy now as well to some degree. I just wanted to emphasize that. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdurrahman, for those comments and for sharing your thoughts with us. So I know that we have just a few minutes left, so I just want to provide a little recap. But before that, Taya, please go ahead. Definitely share your thoughts with us.
Oh no, I was just thinking to myself, if we didn't have, if the creator didn't give us the other aspects of seeing those evil in the world as we perceive it, how would we experience or know that we are experiencing bliss? You know what I mean? I feel like you need both of those things in order to understand life, and of course we don't want to go through pain and some of the things that we see, but I don't feel like we would understand what bliss, understand what peace is, understand what those things are without having to go through some sort of hardships, or seeing hardships in the world and things like that. I think you need that, and I know the creator knows that, and that's something that I try to hold on to as well. It's like, you know, joy wouldn't be so joyful if it wasn't for pain, I guess, in a weird way. And then also just in terms of talking about our expectations being sometimes our own, you know, our ego, our downfall. Something that I thought about a couple weeks ago was how, you know, and of course we don't like these things to happen. Like when say for instance, a young man dies very young, like I hear a lot, well, he wasn't supposed to die. And and now in my head I go, well, who said that? You know what I mean? We have this expectation that we're supposed to grow old and we're supposed to make it. And that is innately in us for some reason. But that's I think if we let go of this sort of control that we have in our minds, that this is how life is supposed to be. Nobody told us that, right? We're sort of inferring that child, that young man was supposed to grow old. And I think that's what causes us some turmoil. We have to sort of let that go and really and it's not easy, but and hold on to the creator and hold on to what his plan is and not necessarily what our plan is. I think that might help. And I haven't mastered that, but I just thought.
Thank you, Taya, for sharing those with us, as always. Wonderful thoughts. I think, these are very important issues, and just very briefly, I'll say this. We have to, one, I think, look at the createdness of everything, as Brother Ali was saying, and recognize that whether we like it or we may dislike it, there is a sort of perfection in how things are coming into existence. And secondly, what I want to emphasize just briefly before I end here is that we have to situate the things that we experience in this world within our own paradigm. So asking questions of, what is my source of existence? How have I come into this world? How am I existing right now? And how is any of the situations, experiences that I'm going through going to further me in this journey of understanding my own reality? And I would say that anything that progresses that journey, that acquaints me further with my source of existence, that is an inherent good. And that should be, I think, our measuring stick. Anything that acquaints me further with my source of existence, with the reality of my human existence as I know it. And that leads me, I think, and I'll jump to that, but to complete sense of security and happiness. But I think we'll end here today. Again, this 11th aspect was really about carefully examining the contradictions that arise. I mean, I have to witness the the qualities of the absolute source of existence in this world, recognize that they are manifested in a very transient place and way, and recognize the needs that have been given to me by that absolute source of existence. And that eventually leads me to conclude that those qualities belonging to an absolute source of existence require a manifestation in the permanent realm in a way that I can permanently experience them, because that is what my humanity demands, and that is the way in which my creator is creating me. And as Sister Taya says, even the mercy of being guided to belief systems is compassionate. So thank you, everyone. This was a very fruitful discussion for me. Inshallah, let's end it here today, and we can pick it up next week. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.